So, you've seen the title. It's pretty obvious by now that I'm catching up on last year's most talked about films before the award season ends. In the interest of keeping this channel more contemporary, I'm going to stop doing that after this review, especially when films like The Witch, 10 Cloverfield Lane, The Lobster, Midnight Special, and more comic book superhero intellectual property soul-crushing franchise movies than you can shake a stick at are coming out. So let's burn right through the rest of the nominees. The Big Short, the reason why the Academy forgot about Carol. It's fine, but Carol deserves more recognition. Bridge of Spies. It's Spielberg, so it's at least decent by default. Spies manages to be one of Spielberg's more compelling flicks. Brooklyn. Glad to see it getting the attention it is. Check it out, especially for Saoirse Ronan's performance. Mad Max Fury Road. I can't praise this movie enough. It's everything I love about film. The Martian. Solid adaptation of one of the better books I've ever read. I have my issues with it, but it's fine. And the rest of the world loved the shit out of it, so anyway. There. Welcome to 2016. Now, before I get going with the review, I wanted to briefly mention a movement happening on YouTube called Where's the Fair Use? Doug Walker, one of the more prominent film critics on YouTube, made a lengthy video detailing how YouTube's broken copyright system demotivates content creators from creating content because their right to fair use is being ignored at a horrifying rate. As someone who utilizes fair use in every single video, I've had to dispute third-party claims for all of my reviews thus far, which restricts me from monetizing my content, despite my use of the copyrighted footage being completely legal because it's used for criticism. If you're interested in learning more about fair use and how YouTubers are getting screwed over, check out Doug's video. I'll link it down in the description. YouTube won't bother to react unless this movement sees momentum, and your voice goes a long way in helping content creators feel respected. Something they could do with a little more of these days. # WTFU. What? What's a hashtag? Generally, when I write a film review, the approach is usually to talk about the story first and the technical aspects second. However, with The Revenant, I'll have to reverse that order because the film goes out of its way to illustrate how technically proficient it is above all else. Alejandro G. Iñárritu proves once again that he is one of the best directors working in the business today. Amores Perros is fantastic, 21 Grams is emotionally draining, same for Babel, and beautiful. He isn't afraid to explore human misery, which is the arena in which some of my favorite films come from. I adore feel-bad movies, and at this rate Iñárritu is becoming its mascot. Taking into consideration the struggles this production faced, it's even more astounding that Iñárritu was able to pull off a film as beautiful as this. Speaking of beautiful, the cinematography in The Revenant is some of the best I've seen. There isn't a single frame that doesn't feel innovative and unique, and that's all in thanks to Emanuel Lubezki. As far as cinematographers go, he's nothing short of a master in the field. The use of long takes and wide shots aids in creating a realistic atmosphere that's both gorgeous and terrifying. The fact that the film was made using only natural light breaks my brain. The score, which was fantastic, was used effectively and sparingly. The editing, costume design, makeup, and sound design were all top-notch. Both the bear attack and the final 10 minutes of the film stand out as being truly awe-inspiring. From a technical standpoint, The Revenant does few things wrong, and what's done right is done so remarkably right that it completely overshadows everything else. This film is first and foremost a testament to the power of filmmaking, and Iñárritu proves again that he's wielding that power brilliantly. What the film's presentation also does is hold up what, at its core, is essentially a basic revenge story. For those that don't know, The Revenant is loosely based on the story of American frontiersman and fur trapper Hugh Glass. Glass, after being attacked by a bear and left for dead by his group, managed to crawl over 200 miles back to civilization, where he went back to work and was killed at the age of 50 by members of the Arikara tribe. The film, however, manages to divert from that narrative to a certain extent by giving Glass another reason for revenge other than being abandoned in the wilderness. It's not the most complex story ever told, nor is it the most original. If you really want to see the revenge story told in a unique way, I'd recommend Blue Ruin. See it! Despite some periodic abstract imagery, there isn't much in the way of subtext, and if anything is working against the film, it's the thinness of the plot. The benefit is in how the plot is structured. That presentation saves whatever missteps exist in the plot almost entirely. The film is 2.5 hours long, and fortunately, it felt exactly that length. There were some scenes I would have considered cutting, but for the most part, the story, while a tad hollow, managed to hold my attention just long enough. Oh no. now I have to talk about the acting. I've avoided it long enough, I guess. Everyone's about to get triggered.
Trigger warning, folks. The warning for your triggering has now been warned.
Alright, here it goes. I didn't think Leonardo DiCaprio was anything better than just decent. I guess the best way I could word it is by saying that I respected his performance more than I believed it. It's obvious he went through some shit physically during the production, putting himself in horrible situations for the sake of his art, and that at least deserves some recognition. In this film, Leo, in my opinion, is given the opportunity to do one of the two things he's good at doing as an actor: facial acting. Fortunately for the film, the script gives him very few lines, affording him the opportunity to emote exclusively with his expressions. And in that, he does a pretty great job, but every time he opens his mouth and says a line, I just have the hardest time believing it. And this isn't an issue exclusive to The Revenant.
I've gotten all these things for her. I've gotten all these things for her. Now she just wants to run away.
But I'm gonna get you out of here. You're not going to the lighthouse. You're not.
Well, right now my address is the RMS Titanic. After that, I'm on God's good humor.
As far as I can tell, my place is right here on the smart end of this rifle.
Am I alone on this? I'm probably alone on this. Fuck. I just don't think he deserves the Oscar for putting himself through the grinder physically. Stunts don't make you a great actor. Otherwise, Tom Cruise would have been nominated for holding onto a fucking plane. To date, my favorite Leo performance was as Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street, because it afforded him the opportunity to utilize the second thing he's good at doing as an actor: screaming. A lot.
Client either buys or fucking dies! No! Sister! Oh, God! Merry Christmas! I defy you, stars! No! 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 God! Fuck! Go! Down the back! Fuck you!
In my opinion, Tom Hardy absolutely stole the show. His character had more depth, complexity, and intrigue. Hardy vanished into the role and became an entirely different person. More often than not, I caught myself wanting more scenes with Hardy because I found his performance so captivating. You're still mad about the Leo rant, aren't you? By all accounts, I'm probably wrong. The rest of the world adores him. Hell, the popularity of the Leo got snubbed by Oscar meme is evidence that I'm wrong. Probably. Oh, fuck. Hey, we had fun while it lasted, right? Right? Despite what The Revenant lacks in story, it more than makes up for it in presentation and structure. It takes a formulaic concept and tells it in a visually unique way that manages to keep the viewer engrossed. It's morose, brutal, and maybe even kind of a little bit depressing. All things I love. I respect The Revenant for what it does on a technical level most of all. And that's all thanks to Alejandro G. Iñárritu's vision as a director. While my feelings on Leo's performance differ from everyone else's, I absolutely agree that the direction, cinematography, and film overall earn their recognition.